G'day guys, welcome to Rosehill. What date is it? Let's find the date. No idea. 18th of June? 18th of June. Alright, 6 metre rail at Rosehill today. We've got a good track to work with, very exciting. Traditionally this is a really leaders and fence biased track. But last few weeks, sort of slowish tracks, the inside's certainly been much softer and inferior ground to the middle of the track, which is really weird for Rosehill. So whereas I'd usually be very bullish of a mad leader fence bias and still setting it up with that in mind, like very lenient to those that are going to be leading inside in the run just off speed. They're sort of the horse still targeting, wary that the tracks are still not completely dried out and fair to what they normally are. So just keeping that in the back of my mind and very versatile, ready to go if it does look a little bit different to how I've set it up. So again, I'm just going to knock the first 6 races out here and then come back with the last 4. These 10 race cards and not getting scratching until 7:30 are very difficult to still get the full set out prior to race 1, even when it's a good track. So I think this system's been working quite well. Get the most information into the sheets in the back half, certainly much stronger for it from what I've seen anyway. So here we go, race 1, 2-year-old race, only 6 runners. Some very nice horses here, Osipenko, Kaboo, Rosetta, all look very promising. I think Alessandra's a strong type. You know, if it was a 1400 metre maiden, I'd be keen to be with it. Obviously $26 here, and finding some classy types hard to have confidence, but I think it's one for the multiplayers. Osipenko can't knock its first start in a race at all. Sat just behind a really fast tempo, so it can obviously sit on speed here. I think it could lead these if it wanted to. Probably takes a sit though. I'd say that probably Kaboo's probably most desperate for the front. Luna Shoes is the one you probably wouldn't want to cross you if you were Osipenko, but interesting to see sort of what happens there early. I think Rosetta's fast enough to hold a spot too, so they're probably going to just park right behind Kaboo and maybe Luna Shoes, and they'll present at the right time and do look the 2 horses to beat. Rosetta's very dangerous as well. Both of those horses, Kaboo and Rosetta, going from 11 to 1400, which is a query for sure, but both look strong and look capable of sort of running out a strong 1400. Osipenko, maybe the ace up its sleeve there, already having a 1300 metre run, jumping only 100 metres to this and was strong that day. So I don't think there's much value in this race. I've got the market pretty similar to how it is, like in order. Osipenko from Kaboo and Rosetta, not much between them, out to Alessandra, and then big gap to the rest. So I think it's one to watch. I don't think it's one to really take part in. I do think that there are 3 realistic strong winning chances in Osipenko, Kaboo and Rosetta, and it's just difficult to line them up. The other 2 jumping from 11 to 14, Osipenko coming off a hard run wet track debut and having to back that up 14 days later. So too many queries here, and Kaboo has queries there. It was 11 on a heavy 11 up to a 14, very green there. Had to get to the outside fence today. It could just roll to the front and race far more tractably and improve significantly. So it's probably the one that has to come up performance-wise, but certainly is possible. So that's just probably a 5-minute explanation or a 3-minute explanation of why race 1's not a great race to bet in. Race 2, very difficult, but sort of gambling on 2 you got and Blow Dart coming across early. As you can see, there's quite a bit of pressure potentially in the race, but if these 2 are sort of stamped urgent and come across with Who Got Roo, it was interesting to see Miss Kira really take a sit last start. If it does the same thing here, it should allow those horses out wide to sort of come across. Just Strolling, Summer Glow, hold the spots just behind. But as you said, it's not easy to work out what this map's going to do, and the levels of pressure early. There's a bunch of runners back in the field that are capable of running on, so if they overdo it up front, it brings them in. You've got Summer Glow, who's probably just an honest horse but gets the right run. Miss Kirribilli, that's on the up, but it's sort of having 4th run first prep, and this is a step up in grade. The soft draw gives it a good chance, and sort of down in the weights is a positive for it as well. Also, we talked about like Hern Court is set up okay, Proverbial set up okay, Tidal Rush is going to improve here up in distance. Don't forget Monaghan's trial well, Pure Fuego ran well first up. These are the sort of horses, even Island Press can run well fresh. So All these horses are capable of running well here. Just gambling on low dart and 2 you got from an opinion point of view, to get across a bit cheaper than maybe everyone expects and can run very well from that position. So not an easy race 2, but they're the two I kind of settled on just on value and hoping, fingers crossed, they get across a bit more conservatively than the market probably suggests they will. Race 3. Again, a pretty nothing race. I think French Bonnet, if it sort of stamped urgent, finds the front, is the one to run down. Don't want to go as fast as it did 2 starts back, but if it controls the tempo, certainly the horse to beat. I don't see horses like Verbeck and Oakfield Prince really wanting to push the speed early, so that should allow French Bonnet to roll across. And the one to beat for mine, I think Verbeck can run well if it sort of crosses or sits one off just behind them. It's going to be in a nice position either way. Marnix is going well enough, but very short. I'm scared of this horse, Timpanist. If it sort of drags up on the inside and gets a run, it's got to turn a foot when it's in the mood, and back on a dry track and back to 1500 it can run well. Harvey's Way gets the nice run it needs again, racing well. Too short for me in its early prices, and Oakfield Prince probably gets across and gets on into a nice enough position to run well. Even a horse like River Mac can run well here. It's again a race probably you just want to play around value, and I settled on French Bonnet from Verbeck, just did a little bit of value for the runs I thought they'd get here. I think French Bonnet's certainly the one to run down, and Verbeck gets the nice run behind at bigger odds. So they're the two for me in race 3. Race 4. Really like this horse, Willinga Rufio. I think that the draw really sets up nicely for the 4 horses drawn wide to cruise across. Whether a horse like the Catch or Kapangi wants to put a bit more venom in and make them work harder, I doubt it. So I think the 4 of them will work across, whether So United wants to try and have a push for the front, or even African Daisy from the wide draw and pressure Willinga Rufio. Certainly will impact the tempo of the race, especially early. I think the horse looks fairly adaptable, strong. Don't think the dry track's going to hurt him, and see him only running well. Just think he's got upside on this field. Willinga Rufio, which is the main reason I think he's quite well placed and hard to beat here. So I think I've marked about 6 horses. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, 6 or 7 horses between $9 and $16, and nothing close to him in the betting. So I think he's clearly the one with the upside and the one hardest to beat. And then I find it very difficult to separate the rest of them from a main danger perspective. You've got horses like So United and African Daisy that are going to roll forward with Karlstad, get nice runs. Then you've got horses like Naval Seal and Dakuri that are going to get soft runs back in the pack and need a little bit of luck. And if they overdo it, they're going to come into the race. So not easy to decipher the danger, but I think Willinga Rufio is clearly the horse to run down in race 4. Race 5, another nothing race. I thought Arapaho was very short here, so it's like $3.30, 64 and a half, less than 3. Good jockey aboard, gets the nice draw, but not a horse that's really got a great turn of foot, and the 61 and a half on its back's not going to help that. So if it was mine, I'd be jamming it out, trying to hold the front and run them along. Think that plays into his hands, the fitness, and he'll get his chance there. If he sort of gets held up in behind them and has to out-sprint them with 61 and a half, I don't think that's his go at all. So a bit of a danger tag with the $3.30 or whatever it is, $3.50 about Arapaho. The horse that I like is Tinny Winnie. Big win, 1,500 metres, really good ride first up. Then last time toughed it out up in distance, both on heavy tracks. That's only 10 days ago. So had 2 hard runs on heavy tracks. That's the worry. Where it gets to here, I expect it to sort of push forward into the sort of first 5 or 6 and run well. Obviously led and sat outside the leader its last 2 starts, so capable of settling in the first few, I would imagine. Does need a little bit of luck early. It is a little bit congested around that area of the race, it looks like, and can see it running well. It's the only horse that I could back with any confidence here, and that's with huge question mark queries attached. So horses that can run well, Arapaho certainly can run well. Born a King, drawn perfectly, can run well set up. King of Clubs back onto a dry track, up in distance, probably needs one more, but if it finds the front, it's from the right stable to improve significantly. Oceanic Flash is flying, but draws horrendously and probably going to be last. Can run well regardless if they overdo it up front and has a bit of luck. Bazooka can improve. I think it's ready to do its best now. Peak last start. If it doesn't need one more, it is jumping 500 metres in distance, but back onto a dry surface it can run well. Colour Sergeant's going very well. I think it draws nicely. Synthetic Hoof Filler's the scary part to it. Black Queen's not terrible. Probably needs one more. And Cognac was the run of the race last start in a pretty similar affair up in Brisbane and draws ideally to run well again. So many chances in race 5, Tinny Winnie, the one with the most upside for mine. Race 6. This doesn't get any easier. I think I thought Petulant was only fair first up. Whether it gets across and leads as easily as it says on paper here, not so sure, but think it has to work. 1100 metres with the horse like Rubinocchi sitting outside it, who's coming off a 1200 metre run. I'd expect it to put the blowtorch to Petulant at some point. If it can, and that should weaken Petulant a little bit and sort of expose it. So if it's got any weaknesses, they'll show up today. Thought it was quite aggressively priced, Petulant, around the $4 mark. Sort of thought Rubinocchi had to be closer to it in the market, if not shorter. And then you've got horses sitting right behind like Rupertar, Miracle Day, Quatnus, Never Second, Curtis Island's Flying. They're all going to get the right runs to be dangerous, especially Rupertar and Miracle Day, you would imagine, from the soft draw. But I think Rubinocchi is the one to run down, and then sort of Miracle Day just looked the value to me. Definitely no real knock on Rupertar, Quatnus, even Never Second. I think they're all going to get their chance, and they seem fair enough odds. Quatnus I thought was a little bit short compared to what I had it anyway. I just thought it had to prove itself a little bit up to this grade. So they're the first 6. I'll have a look and make sure that the fence is okay here, and it's the place to be, and I'll knock out these last 4 races and try and get them out as soon as I can. Thanks guys, and I'm sorry about the picture quality, but it's not like you want to look at my head anyway. Cheers.